This is not a basketball podcast. We understand that. But this is That's Freakin' Wrestling, episode 70. Usual suspects in the house. Rhodesia's here. Eshaun's here. Matt is here. But we just pressed record and less than like 2 minutes ago, we see Boston Celtics and Milwaukee Bucks guaranteed to be in the Eastern Conference Finals at this point. Jrue Holiday to the Celtics. That's a massive deal. Now, allegedly, I haven't been able to confirm this part. Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams is gone, and a pick to the Trailblazers. Instant reaction, guys. This is guaranteed now, of course, outside of injuries, to be a Boston, Milwaukee Eastern Conference Finals this year, right?
Instant reaction. Time to play some bets.
That's what I'm talking about. Put the money down.
Hey, the East keeps getting better and better, y'all. Man. But at the end of the day, I'm still going Bucks.
I think so too, man. Like, there's a lot of people kind of downplaying. I mean, there's a lot of people that's giving this trade what it should be with Dame, but Dame has never had a superstar. Giannis has never had a superstar. And you're talking about somebody now, like, it's going to be a different world out there in Milwaukee. I'm glad the Pistons still got a few years till, like, we're in that kind of conversation, because it's going to be spooky for some teams this year. It's going to be spooky.
Too bad this isn't the NBA, because we got to talk about them Pistons one day in some kind of forum. We got to talk about these Pistons. But, yeah, man, Dame time all day long. Because you look at the Milwaukee team, it's the same core. It's just Jrue, insert Dame.
Right. Which is different,
and
because we know Holiday can play some fantastic defense. He's probably a better facilitator, maybe.
I don't know.
You just can't add a 31-point game score with Giannis and act like, oh, it's not that big of an upgrade.
No.
All right, good luck. Good luck when you
finisher.
cannot double team. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well,
and
his
passing skills, real quick, his passing skills, I think, are underrated. I think you're going to be on full display this season. But, yeah, it's going to be a great one, man. When
you're not solely focused on one person, that facilitation game looks a lot different. Maybe we'll do like an extra pod 1 week. Y'all let us know if y'all are interested in us talking like other sports. That's something that we can probably do for sure. Let's start with NXT. And I want to rewind the clock a little bit. NXT 2.0, we knew all about that. That was trash. Capital T, capital R, capital A, capital S, capital H. We all knew it, right? It was too colorful. I don't know what they were trying to do. The Vince McMahon got pissed because Dynamite killed him in the ratings, took away the power from Triple H, said, now I'm going to run NXT in my vision, in the way I want to do it. Show sucked. Triple H comes back. They get Shawn Michaels involved. We kind of switched back to a little bit to the black and gold kind of brand. They went from, and I don't know when 2.0 officially ended, but let's just go with 14 months. In 14 months, NXT has gone from damn near unwatchable to damn near unmissable. And it is perfect timing for this pod, because Eshaun, you had just asked us about, like, hey, why don't we talk more about NXT? Why don't we watch NXT? A lot of it just came down to time. Wow. If you guys missed No Mercy, top to bottom, it was an excellent show. A lot of surprises on that show also, but who would have thought 14 months ago, or whenever 2.0 kind of stopped, we would be in this area of just how awesome NXT is again, from when it was black and gold and takeovers was life for wrestling fans.
Matt, I know you just asked that question there, but I just have to say, when you first started talking about NXT and the black and gold and the 2.0, this was the first time that I felt like, wow, this felt like an NXT takeover for me. Like, it gave me all the vibes of what I used to feel like. And yeah, it's a little more colorful than what it was in the NXT black and gold days. But man, I felt like this was a takeover.
Yeah, my boy Shawn Michaels, man. Hey, he was a superstar. megastar wrestler, and he's a super megastar, coach. I don't know what he is. I guess he's the executive. What's his official title with NXT?
I don't know what his official title is, but he's definitely the Triple H of NXT. I mean, he's head booker, head creator,
leader, whatever it is, man. He's doing a phenomenal job with that. Actually, I had my doubts if Sean can be what H was to that brand, and I don't know why I doubted that, man. Everything he touched turns into gold because he's doing this thing down there, y'all.
I felt that same way too, Eshaun. Like when Sean was taking over, I felt like, okay, well, at least he was like an H guy, like they're friends, so we'll still get something of like the black and gold H. But wow, did he just take it to a whole nother level?
Y'all want to start with Dragunov? I guess we can say upsetting Carmella, or do you want to start with Becky and Tiffany?
You lead the way.
I guess all right. Let's start with the main event. I had tweeted out, like, did Becky take out some receipts on Tiffany? Did Tiffany owe Becky some money and we don't know about it? She was beating the hell out of Tiffany in that match. And just from a peek behind the curtain kind of perspective, she was not going easy on her. Like, she made Tiffany work her speed, her pace. It was, and they knew they had to, of course, this is the main event. So don't know they knew what Dragunov and Melo had in store, which they killed it. But I think they wanted to make sure that this is what people are still talking about when this show's over, and it's our main event. Anytime you can do Extreme Rules and we got Plunder involved, it's a little bit easier to work and be memorable because there's no rules and you can use weapons and things of that nature. But I thought they did fantastic. I really did. I think Tiffany, she's been working only 2 years. She's another one. I don't think we know how good she can be 5 years from now. It was awesome. It was awesome. But, it was a couple of spots where you're like, all right, you kind of can see a little bit of just the timing wasn't there. But overall, I thought it was a fantastic main event. I thought Tiffany showed out again. I think Becky also showed that whatever was going on in that Trish Stratus feud was a one-off. Because since then, she's been damn near perfect. She's batting 1,000. What'd you guys think of the main event?
I got 2 words. Tiffy Stratton. She has arrived. She's arrived. She is a superstar, man. When she came out there, like from her gear to her presence, like she got it. She got it. And that was a hell of a match that she put on. Like her aerial combat skills, if that's what I'm going to call it right now, because I can't lack for better words, is on point. Because her Swanton bomb looks better than Jeff's. And I know Jeff's 55 years old.
Yeah, I was saying, come on, man.
He can't turn it like he used to. But she nailed it. Her moonsault, her Christopher Daniels best moonsault ever variation is spot on. It's one of the best in the business right now. And as you said it, man, to be 2 years in the biz, and you think about where she started, like, when Shawn Michaels took over NXT 2.0 and they put all these green wrestlers on our TV screens from a character standpoint, from a wrestler standpoint, she was part of that. And to see where she is now, like, she's ready for a huge spotlight. She's a megastar. She did great in that match. Great main event.
Holy hell. They had to follow Carmelo and Dragunov. Man, but they did fantastic. Matt and you and I watched together. It was almost like Becky said, you know what? I have to follow that. All right. So I'm about to pull no punches and you got to keep up with me because I know what I'm capable of, but you're going to go with me. And like you said, there was a couple of times where Tiffany's timing was just a little bit off. One was with the garbage can. But again, Becky was like, nope, I'm pulling you up. I'm not wrestling down to you. You are wrestling up to me. 2 years in, when they said it on commentary last night, I didn't even really think about it like that, but holy hell, 2 years and this is what we get from her? Oh my goodness. But again, Becky pulled no punches. I was happy to see that match. That was definitely a main event match and they stepped up to it. And I did not think so. I actually was like, there's no way they're following Carmelo and Dragunov, but they sure did.
And they did it. And it's funny too, because this NXT
pause
is
for a
different
second.
Yeah.
I don't know if Matt's thinking or he's about to go to the next thing right now. But this is why I say Jay needs to spend a little time in NXT. Not because, like, from a presence standpoint, because you know what? When I was looking at Tiffy last night, like, she has a lot of the same attributes that I see in Jay as far as the presence, a character, microphone skills. She just has that look. I think when she walked onto my camera, I was like, damn, she got it, right? Jade has all of that too in a big way. But what I would like for Jade to get is that same type of wrestling engine that Tiffy has right now. And you think about the time that they both have been in the business, and you see how far Tiffany Stratton has come versus Jade. Just imagine if Jade had that same training. If she can just get down there and she can pick up a couple months from Sean and that staff before she gets to the main roster, because when she gets to the main roster, I don't want to see her learning on the job anymore. I want to see her go. I want to see her ready to go with the big dogs and be that big megastar champion that I think she can be. And so I would love for her to go to NXT and get some of the same training tutelage that Tiffany has gotten to get her to this point.
And I think she will too. We were talking last night. If they wait, and you say NXT, I don't need her in NXT. I just need her in the PC. She doesn't have to be on NXT. But they wait to debut her at the Rumble. That would be 5 months of training time, I think. Is that what we said? I mean, we're going in this October now. October, November, December, January. 4 months. 4+ months. If they debut her at Survivor Series, that's 2 full months in the PC. And I think with the knowledge she already has, either one is a lot of time to what you're saying, E, you don't have to worry about watching her learn on the job. They can pump in a lot, especially if she is consuming everything down there every week. If she's there Monday through Friday or whatever the schedule is, man, she is going to be incredible. And they are putting the full court press on with her. On SmackDown Friday, you got Cole and Graves talking about her. Cole talking about her. Graves talking about she's a game changer. A storm is coming. I'm like, yeah, they are putting the full court press on. Before you brought that up, what I was going to say was this is a different NXT. The NXT we grew up in, watching, loving is a big person loses a match, they're going to the main roster. And we know now that's not the case. If that was the case, Braun Breaker would have been gone months ago, which he lost again. That was also kind of a little bit of a shocker to Baron Corbin, the god Baron Corbin. Watch him out, Rhodesia, about Baron Corbin. You heard what he said. Tiffany could go to the main roster. Carmelo absolutely could go to the main roster. And I don't know if they are. I don't think they are, but it's just funny how back in the day it was, you lose that big match, we'll see you on Monday. And now it's like, no, we'll probably see you on Tuesday again, which is really, really interesting. Let's talk about Dragunov and Carmelo. E, I want to start with you because you made a comment a couple weeks ago and I kind of co-signed it. Just like we just weren't into Dragunov. I liked his intensity, but he's somebody that I wouldn't go out of my way to watch. It's only been one match. It's only one match. But he's now the NXT champion. Has your opinion changed at all on Dragunov after watching No Mercy?
Nope. Not at all.
And there you go.
Not until he put some knee pads on, man. I'm not riding with him.
Man. Look, man, here we go with that. All right.
Yeah. Not until you put some knee pads on. But look, I will say that the match was really good. I've never said he wasn't a good wrestler. He's put in some nice matches. It's just that he just don't got it for me. I gotta be honest. He just don't have it. Like, he put great matches. Like what I see from like a Tiffany Stratton, I don't get the same feeling from Dragunov. He might surprise me as a champion, but until he puts some knee pads on and get some charisma, it's going to be, snack time, boo boo pee pee time for me.
Oh wow,
Yikes!
That's kind of deep.
I didn't know much about Dragunov at all, but what I saw last night was pretty impressive. That match right there was incredible. I heard the first match between them was pretty darn good too.
Yeah,
but this one, that is when I had that aha moment, like, oh my God, this is TakeOver from that match. I'm like, this is what I'm used to seeing in TakeOver matches. So I'm there for him. Again, am I going to turn into NXT just to watch him? No. That's the reality for right now. I guess it's just more storytelling. As far as like his swagger, a lot of people kind of been, what I've seen on my version of the Twitter or of X is that they compare him a lot to Gunther. And I don't know necessarily when Walter was in NXT, he had swagger himself, and I thought he was a pretty good champion, or he was really good presence and a character. I think with Dragunov, he doesn't have to be super showboaty, but just something else has to happen. Maybe a few more matches, a few more wins that gets me fully invested in him. But this is probably one of the first times that as an NXT champion, I'm like, okay, all right, I'm gonna hang on there because I believe in Sean now, but it's not what I thought.
In HBK, you trust?
In HBK, I trust for right now.
Yeah, no, I mean he's a dog. We know that. I
Mhm.
just we'll see. I'm not against him at all.
Right.
But what I thought we were going to, what I thought this entire NXT conversation was probably going to be around, and it didn't get lost, but Trick Williams winning the North American Championship. I just knew. I'm like, oh my God, there it is. There's the tagline for the show. Whoop that Trick did it. He is at the top of the mountain for the North American title. And by the time that show was over, it's like, oh man, is Melo about to try to come for this title now? I loved the little in moment with him and Carmelo in the locker room. I thought that was great. And then they went off the air. Loved it for Trick. We are getting this Carmelo Trick feud, aren't we?
It's coming.
He made those eyeballs, his googly eyes on that belt a couple of times. Sure, so
it's like you've had it already. Mm-hmm. Carmelo, back up.
That's like a step down, though. I mean, like I guess it's more of a story with them, right? But that's kind of a step down for him to want that title now, in spite of his boy. But going back to, here's the thing about I like the whoop that Trick. We know where that came from, right? We know the song, the movie. But when they say it, whoop that Trick. His name's Trick Williams. Like, right, it kind of like they're saying whoop.
It's absolutely an oxymoron. Right? It's absolutely an oxymoron. But we know what it is.
It works though. It works though, and I love the crowd definitely are behind him when they say it, right? But just to see where he's come, bro.
That's the best book is done.
Hey, Trick Williams, he got it. He got we're gonna have another conversation about Carmelo.
In January. I remember I said last week, I said, let's have this conversation in January.
Hey, but the things that I think that Carmelo's missing from a character standpoint, Trick had it all. He got it all, man.
I can see that.
He just needs to keep improving in the ring, but he's also another guy that's gradually and steadily getting better and better. I'm not a worker, never been a worker, but you saw a little bit of light in a lot of things that he did. But he can keep going down the road that he's going, tighten that up a little bit. Man, he is going to be a bona fide star in no time as well.
He's somebody. Real quick, Rhodesia, he's somebody. When SummerSlam was here in Detroit, he was one of the NXT guys that came to the tryout. It was him. It was Zoe Stark. I can't remember a couple other people. And when I saw that, I was like, "Whoa! All right, that's okay." They think pretty highly of him.
Do y'all think that? And this is probably something that's been brainwashed in our minds. You made that comment about you seeing Trick trajectory where he is the character that you wanted out of Carmelo. Do you also think that size have a thing to do with this? We've been so brainwashed that the bigger you are, the better you can be, like a heavyweight champion. Do you think his size is also adding to his character over Carmelo?
Not for me. Because see, the thing about Carmelo, he says all the right things, especially in a lot of interviews. And I'm definitely behind him. He said that, hey, I'm as big as any wrestler I'm in the ring with. And I think he really tries to project that. I think it's more of a personality thing with him. Like and I think he might be suppressing himself a little bit to be like this gracious face champion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but even as when he was a heel, like a lot of the sizzle came from like Trick. I think Trick just has a big personality. I think more so than his body. I think his personality is just big. His swag is just big, right? And I want to see Carmelo kind of project himself a little bit more to get a bigger personality. Because I think if he can project himself to seem bigger, right? It might be his bark, right? Because he's trying to go in the ring. I think if his bark was bigger, he might appear bigger. But for me, it's just the swag and the charisma that Trick has.
Cool.
So then if you watch last night, who do you feel like is absolutely going to translate the best on Raw and SmackDown?
You had, I think, stole all of my answers to that earlier. So I'm just going to go with my die line. So it's going to go Jade, 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 and Jade.
Jade wasn't on last night, pal. I
No.
said, from who was on last night, do you think is going to translate the best on Raw and SmackDown?
She was on No Mercy for me. Anyways, for sure. Again, I'm going based off of that question. Who could we pluck and transition the easiest into main event WWE? I would say probably Tiffany, because she has that Barbie doll personality. She would fit perfectly right now into WWE. Braun, I would want him though to probably be on Raw, because is there any other big bad guys besides Shinsuke on Raw? And maybe Jrue, maybe becoming? I can't really remember.
Yeah, I mean, you got Judgment Day. So you got Priest.
Okay, so you got a Judgment Day.
Yeah.
But as a solo person, I can see Braun.
You have Gunther.
And then Carmelo. But I would want to see him more on SmackDown, because I wouldn't want to have the comparisons between Carmelo and Ricochet. Not saying that there would be, but I wouldn't even want that to be an opportunity for people to bring that up. So probably those three people, which you said earlier, which probably is most people's answer.
Tiffany Stratton. I'm like, from a look, from a in-ring perspective, from her gear, she's like $1 million, man. She's the one person I think it can go. I can see her on Raw on Monday, and she will fit and shine. Maybe even more so than some of the girls that's on that show. Oh, and actually, going back to your last question, Rhodesia, when we talked about like Brian Breaker, you talking about like the size. Like, Brian carries himself like he's a monster, and he's a big guy, but he's not a big guy. Like, right? I think he's like maybe 6'1", 6'2", or something like that. You would think this dude's like 6'6", 6'7", like monster, right? Like he looked just as big as Corbin in that ring.
Yeah.
So you talk about like a presence, like that's somebody who can project themselves to make themselves bigger than they are. But for me, it's just Tiffany Stratton right now.
Future's bright for WWE. This is the best synergy we've ever seen between NXT and WWE. Black and Gold, it was its own indie style filling with WWE style production, and we loved it. We loved the simplified storytelling. We loved the takeovers. But then somebody would get caught up, and Vince took one look at him and said, I don't think this is going to work, and completely changed their presentation or their character, or didn't see anything in them the way Triple H did. And they ended up on the main event show on the network a month after, they debuted. We're not going to get that anymore. I think everybody is lockstep on, hey, this can work on the main roster. Yeah, we may need to tweak something potentially, but
Right.
if you watched NXT last night, everybody who was on that show could be called up to the main roster, and their same personality would work on Raw or SmackDown. Creed brothers, all of them, just across the board. It all works. And when you think about that women's division, it was now like I'm locked in. Like I am locked in. When they showed the breakout tournament, I'm like, you just the look factor. You're like, yep, she's gonna be a star. Yep, she's going to be a star. Yep, she can be a star. Yep, she can be a star. They're doing some fantastic stuff. Shout out to them. And before we move on, this is the last thing I got for NXT. I'll throw it back to you guys. Second vignette we had from Brian Pillman.
Yep.
He's been presented better already in two vignettes.
Yeah, 2 video packages
than he had in 3+ years in AEW.
And we only saw his face at the last second of that second video.
Presentation is everything in wrestling. That's all I got on NXT. What y'all got?
Matt, we talked about it like privately a lot of times, because like I loved NXT Black and Gold back in the day, and it really hurt my heart when it went away. But at the same time, if you think about it, as you said, NXT was his own thing, almost like a third promotion, and that's what Triple H really tried to push for a long time. It's a third brand, but it was never really viewed that way internally. It doesn't seem like by Vince or even the wrestlers. Even back then, they will always talk about getting called up and going to the main roster. That was even back in the NXT heyday. So if you think about that time period, yes, it was great for us as fans, but that company and the way things worked, it kind of did those wrestlers a disservice that they were presented a different way that would never be presented on the main roster, right? If that was the goal for these guys to get to the main roster, which obviously it was, it seems like now it's a disservice that they weren't presented in the way that Vince would find acceptable, because Vince would see these guys and he would see something totally different than Triple H. You know, I was listening to Tyler Breeze in an interview with Billy Ray, and he said that, you know, back in the day, you were a Vince guy or you were a Triple H guy. And it always seemed like for me, it was better to be a Vince guy, because Vince was one who's in control of your push on the main roster. So it's great now that Triple H and HBK have this synergy right now to where, okay, these are the guys we have. And I believe that Triple H is probably actively checking in with the roster, the talent. He's watching the shows and he knows what's going on. As you said, now they can go from NXT, move right on up and continue their journey in WWE. And I think that's great. And I think we already covered. I had a question about who you guys think would transition on the main roster. Right now, my number one person is just Tiffy Stratton. I think Trick in about another 4 months, whatever he's done with, Carmelo, I think he's going to be the next person up there. But yeah, great NXT time, guys.
It is. It really, really is. Let's transition to SmackDown. LA Knight's over COVID. Hell yeah,
Yay.
represent that. Clap it up. Showed up and got a monster pop again. Saved Cena. Signed that contract, and I thought the joke I had on Friday, because they didn't say, he picks up the contract. I was waiting for him to get on the mic and just say, Cena, it's 3-on-1 now. Yeah. And I was just like, oh no, Cena, you are screwed now.
The biggest turn.
You tried to punk him at the pay-per-view. He came back, but that didn't happen. So now we got Cena and LA Knight against the Bloodline. My question for you guys, so we knew that was coming, but it looks like what maybe we thought was, spoiler alert, the potential match in Saudi was supposed to be AJ against Roman. Now there's some words that may be flipped to LA Knight versus Roman, that they're grooming LA Knight for a world title shot against Roman. And we got a month, because I think that show is the first week of November, I think. But as of right now, today being October 1st, is that too much too soon for LA Knight?
Man, too much too soon. We talked about this just the last episode. LA Knight is how old? 40? So
well, I'm talking more from a storyline perspective. We went from him not even challenging really for the US title kind to going now right to Roman Reigns at the head of the table. Tribal Chief.
Right. It could possibly have been too soon, but it's not too soon because we don't have anyone else who has that energy behind them to go against Roman, where it could maybe somewhat be believable. So even when we were talking about the AJ part of it, I'm like, I don't see where this is going, but I guess we have at that time 2 months to get there. But of the heat, in the good way, good heat, I don't know who else could be there to where I would want to watch that match. So maybe too soon in certain realities, but right now, what we have right now on SmackDown, it's not too soon for LA Knight.
No, the time is right. The time is now. Push that man. Like, what we waiting for? Like, the crowd wants him, right? He can go on the mic. He's actually a lot better in the ring now than I think he's ever been in a long time. Because like I won't say he was kind of and even like his finisher was kind of like one of my pet peeves for wrestlers when they have a finisher and the finisher doesn't look good. And so like his finisher always looked like garbage to me, but he's hitting that finisher ever since he's been on SmackDown. The time's now for this guy. As Rhodesia was saying, like the dude's like, he's 40, right? He's in the prime of his career. He's been in the business forever. Like, right? So let's go ahead and hit I'm actually don't remember the saying. It's hot right now for this man.
Hit while the iron is hot. Hit while the iron's hot. Strike when the iron's hot.
Strike when the iron's hot. Strike when the iron's hot. You understand? Let's go.
I just hope they have a really good plan for him after that match. And they typically have done that with Roman. That's why this has really worked, because a lot of people have elevated after going against Roman. He's not beating Roman for the title. So the worry is going to be, okay, you lose against Roman. Now we got the Rumble in January. Maybe he wins the Rumble. and then he gets another shot next year. But they just got to have a good plan for him. But for me, eyes on right now, it's like, okay, that may be a little too much, too soon because of that. All right, he loses against Roman, even if it's shenanigans and all that kind of stuff. Then what does he do after that? So as long as the follow-up's there, I think he'll be fine. And I think they've done right by him since June or whatever it's been. So I can't see them like messing this up now. But I just hope, because they got something special with him right now.
No, we good. Like you think about, Jrue was fine after the match, right? Because this is the era of the good showings. He's going to have a great showing. He's going to almost win.
Oh gosh, here we go. The good showings.
Yeah, this is going to be the era of the great showing. He's going to, and you guys of all people know, right? Just like with Cody, you guys didn't want Cody to win because he was too soon. He had to struggle. And
that was definitely me.
He's into a bigger star. He's going to be a bigger star after the match. He's going to struggle a little bit when he finally gets the title. 2 or 3 years from now, when he's 47.
Dang, that's a Steiner math right there.
It's going to all work out in the end, guys. We're good.
Well, the difference though between Cody and LA Knight is LA Knight's hotter right now than Cody was before Mania.
Ooh.
No, he is. I mean, that's
I'm not
that's
disagreeing.
bonafide. Yeah,
because I heard Cody boos. I don't hear LA Knight boos.
No, it's not about the boos. It's, you can look at merch sales, you can look at ratings, you can look at YouTube views, like that. That's a factual statement. That's why I say that. And
no, that's an actual false statement, because Cody was up, the houses were up, his merch was selling. This is all cap. This is
not as much as LA Knights. Now, if you want to argue this, I would love for you to come back on Wednesday's pod, do some research on Wednesday's pod. Tell me I'm wrong, and then you're gonna come back and you're gonna make up something of why you can't pull it up. You're gonna say your internet wasn't working or something.
Why do I need to do research to qualify your false statements? How about you come back with some?
Because I'm right. I've already looked. I've already looked. That's
nothing.
Why. I've already looked.
Dirt sheet org. Is that what you got this information from?
No, that's you.
No,
that's all. That's all you.
Numbers, lumbers.
Speaking of numbers,
yep.
E, you did have a question or a topic around ratings that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah. So,
Rhodesia, can you stop knocking down every damn week? You would think this is like episode 2, not 70. We've done 70 of these, and you still can't figure out how not to hit either your microphone or your microphone stand or whatever the hell else you got going on over there.
That fell in slow motion.
Look, you still couldn't catch it.
No.
You still couldn't catch it.
I'm not 100% yet, okay?
I guess I got the mute thing, but hey, those guys, I don't know what's going on in Chicago, but they killed those mics over there. It ain't just Rhodesia now.
One stays on mute, the other one can't go on mute enough. That's crazy.
Like, y'all be killing them mics over there. So it's been very popular over the past, maybe 10 years or so on Twitter. Dave, Brian Alvarez, and all these guys, they go online and they give us the numbers, right? We got the, Thurston, they show us the numbers, and all the fans, we always argue about numbers, right? We even we do it as well, right? We come on, we talk about AEW's ratings and, Collision's ratings, etc. And so I was listening to watching. I wasn't listening. I was maybe visualizing in my head what these guys might sound like. But here was the question. Why are TV ratings and viewership such a desired area of discussion for wrestling fans? Do NBA fans dissect the league's numbers? How about NHL, NFL, baseball? There has to be more to it than I just want to know if somebody else likes the things that I like. And it's a very interesting question because, we don't talk about, as fans, we don't talk about, like, for NBA, for instance, we don't talk about these huge rating deals and which game got the most views, et cetera, et cetera. We just talk about is the game good or not. Now, we're going to the business, right? We talk about trades. So if this was a good trade, that was a bad trade. If this person was worth the contract. We're talking about all those things, but we never really, quantify, ratings as far as something being successful or not. So Why do you think we do that as much as wrestling fans?
Let me take the latter first. So the NBA, NHL, NFL, MLB, all that is the dominant or the only professional league in US. So I don't think that part is fair in that question, just because you don't have a another league to go against or to compare against as far as like ratings and such, how we do with like AEW and WWE. The first part of it, I really think it just comes down to the wrestling fan, the fanatic fans. You're either one or two persons. Either one, you want to feel validated, so you use numbers all the time, or two, you want to be the complete opposite and go against the grain. Whichever one is going to fall into that, because we know numbers can be manipulated to whatever you want it to say. So if you're somebody who is a WWE person, you're going to always throw up the fact, hey, WWE pulled 1 million views last night. AEW only pulled such and such. AEW only had, and I know this is in ratings, but these are numbers, only sold 2,000 people for their show for Dynamite. WWE did 11,000. So I just think that a lot of times we use that as fans to validate ourselves in the stances that we take in this tribalism. But for like the professional leagues, it is only one NBA. Your minor leagues, you're not even in a conversation when it comes to that kind of stuff.
I think also too, Rhodesia, to that point about the validation part, I think it's also, and it sucks, it does, but in this day and age, a lot of people don't have their own mind.
Mm-hmm.
They are sheep. They go to, how many times do we see a movie come out or a music release happen and people are like, man, I can't wait to see what you think about it. And you can ask the person, what do you think? Well, I want you to tell me what you think first. No, what do you think? Like, do you like it? Do you not like it? No, they want validation first. Because if you say you don't like it, it sucks. Well, damn, maybe you're right. Maybe it wasn't as good as I thought. Or if you're like, nah, man, it was incredible. And you thought it sucked. Maybe you're like, you know what? Maybe I need to go back and watch it or listen to it again because maybe I missed something. Opposed to you just watching it and say, you know what? I didn't like it. Or I loved this. So I think that's the other part of it too, is the validation of, well, if everybody else thinks this, let me go on that train too.
Right. Like I gotta be right. If the majority is saying that this is a good show, or because of the majority is because of the ratings, if they pulled a higher number, then okay, I do like this. Because I like them.
I think a lot of it is Monday Night Wars. That was our teenage years. Like, it was all about Tuesday afternoon when the numbers came out. And Bischoff would send out his message about what they did when they were winning, of course. Tony's also a little susceptible to that too. As soon as kind of AEW was a thing, we would get that Thursday tweet from him. Thank you guys for watching. We did X amount of numbers, number 1 in cable, number 2 in cable, whatever, the demo was. So they use it as well. So then when you try to stand your point and everything is AEW versus WWE, I put a tweet up yesterday. It was funny. Actually, it was a response about just somebody had posted LA Knight's reaction in November of last year and then his reaction Friday night on SmackDown. And it was just the difference. And my response was, and there wasn't a shooting star press. There wasn't 40 false finishes. There wasn't a collection of moves that nobody remembered the next week. It was through promos, storytelling, and mic work. That is the crux of the wrestling business. A lot of people took that as that was a shot at AEW, which it was not. Every promotion is susceptible to doing that. We've seen NXT do that. We've seen WWE do that. We've seen AEW do that. We've seen Ring of Honor do that. Everybody does it, but that's not how you make stars. Look at MJF. MJF ain't done none of those I said either. He's arguably the best wrestler right now going. It's because of other things that I said. Storytelling, the mic work, et cetera, et cetera. But it was so much of people were just like, you had to bring up AEW, didn't you? You had to bring, it's like, I never even said a promotion. And some people on there was like, no, he never said a promotion. He just said what it was. But that just shows the divisiveness of wrestling fans of like, watch everything, guys. If you don't want to watch it, that's great, cool. But just because a comment is made, it is not a shot at your back or a shot to your head of, aha, see, that's why XYZ. That's crazy. But that's what I think it really is, when it comes down to it. We're into it. And then you have, of course, like the diehards like us that want to know, just from a knowledge perspective, hey, how's the business going for this said promotion, this said TV show? Because that is kind of important, but we don't use it to spew then venom or hate toward the people that don't watch.
Absolutely, for me, because I'm a big AEW fan too. I want to see them do well. And I used to always talk about like, man, why can't they get better ratings? Like, why are people watching this show? Especially when it was like red hot. I'm like, man, why aren't people watching this show? Why aren't people tuning into this show? And I was just worried that they wouldn't get enough views to keep the show and the promotion alive, because I want the show and the promotion to do better and better and better and give guys opportunities. Like, look, we just talked about a couple weeks ago the guys that WWE released. Some of them are going to get swooped up by AEW, which is going to be great. It's going to be a rebirth for those characters. It's going to give some more creative for AEW. That's going to be great. Like, the business needs these promotions thriving. So for me, that's always important. And it's funny that you talked about Sheep, because I will say, as big as an AEW guy I was, because Matt and I were really big into AEW at the time. If you want to call me a hater, I was a big WWE hater. Like, I did not like Raw or SmackDown. I had no good words to say to the show. I remember, Rhodesia, it was Matt and I were talking. We were watching SummerSlam. I think it was the last show that Vince produced. I think Triple H had just started.
Okay, so last year's. Okay.
Yeah, well, I think maybe not last year's, the year before.
Okay.
It was.
It's been that long? Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think maybe SummerSlam 2021. And I wasn't really watching Raw and SmackDown very much. And Matt loved the show. And he was like, hey, what'd you think about the show? Oh, about the show? Man, it was all right. Like, what? I'm like, yeah, it was all right. He's like, I can't believe you're this jaded fan that you can't I'm like, no. I'm like, bro, I don't watch the show. I'm not invested in the characters or the storylines. It's just not for me. But going back to when AEW first started, I thought that NXT for the first 6 to 7 months were putting on better shows.
I did too.
But it didn't show that in the ratings.
It did not.
I did.
Right?
I did.
Like,
I thought AEW was kicking their ass, and big part of it was they were wrestling in that basement down there in
that's
Florida.
what he didn't like. He don't like.
He can't.
I can fit more
wrestling.
people. I can fit more people in my house than they were working. Now, I think it's the same spot,
Horrible.
but it felt like it was like 12 people watching.
No,
And when it's the same 12 people, the Johnny wrestling pops just don't sound the same as they did when it was takeovers. That's all.
I thought they were putting on better shows. So to go into that thing about like, oh, like, you know, like I need the ratings to justify. Like, I don't care what them ratings said. NXT were putting on better shows. Now I get why AEW is more watched, because you know that was the brand and alternative to WWE at the time, right?
New
and people
hotness.
wanted to rally around and pull up this new hot girl that was on the block. I get that. But for me, NXT was better shows back then.
Let me rephrase it. I actually like them both probably equally. I was just surprised that AEW was killing NXT ratings. That's kind of where I was.
Yeah.
I like both of them pretty much equally for different reasons. But not to throw shade at AEW, and it was a pandemic. Which you talk about, there was 12 people at Full Sail, right, Matt?
Yeah.
During the time they were in their arena, it was only 10 people in the crowd, and it was usually family of the wrestlers.
Well, because there was no choice. So you can't throw shade when we're going through a damn worldwide pandemic, Rhodesia. People lost their lives. You want to make a joke about that?
Come on. Why did you just be that serious?
Is that what we're doing?
Why
now?
did you stop? We're not about to do this today.
I had to laugh at how we went from like a 0 to 100 on this, man. People lost their lives.
We're not about to do this right now.
That's all I'm asking.
This is not about to do this right now. Stop it.
Sheesh.
Stop being like that, man.
Speaking of AEW, if we can make bets, are we betting we see Adam Copeland tonight? I'm going to say yes.
I gotta say, I mean, because you think about like Tony Khan is really, you gotta watch this show. It's the end of an era, the start of a new one. You have to watch.
Did you see they did it again on? You see they did it again on Collision? They did their. They had the little lower third for Dynamite, and they were talking about Dynamite's card, and then they said the first Dynamite in the new era of AEW. So it's something pretty massive.
But goddamn, is like, look, I'm an Edge. I'm not a Edge hater like Rhodesia. I like Edge. Is he the beginning of a new era?
I don't know if that's the only thing. What if they couple that with maybe, like I said, maybe do we get Mercedes and Edge? Do we get Edge? Do we get Edge? And then we also get the actual announcement of the HBO Max streaming deal and every show going forward, you know, that we've ever seen from Dynamite, Rampage, Collisions on Max immediately, and in their pay-per-views. That's absolutely a new era of the company. So I think it's more than just Edge.
Well, also Mariah May said she has to catch a flight, and Stardom was her last match.
She did.
So maybe that's the new era, right?
She did.
Maybe that's the new era. Maybe
which I would love. If you don't know, if you guys haven't seen her work, she's another one that's like can't miss. But then there was something else I saw TE about that where they said like she was catching a flight to, because she was fighting and she was working in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then maybe I think they said she was going to the UK and not USA. Who knows?
Well, no. See, they asked her like, oh, she was like, hey, she said I got to catch a flight. She's like, oh, back to UK, right? And she just kind of looked at the camera and ran away.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. But
She
you know
is a
what?
new
Going
era.
back to
I
that,
like
I was kind of surprised that if the Scuttle Booty is her going to AEW,
Mhm.
I feel like the way she looks, she's tailor made for WWE. Like, right?
Yeah, but maybe, of course, under AEW, she can still work Japan when she wants to, if she wants to. You know how that works. Like in WWE, you're working for us and that's it. I think that means a lot to people still. And maybe she got a better deal too.
But she said that was her last match in Stardom. She was leaving the promotion.
Mm-hmm. But there's still other promotions out there that I'm sure that she would like to work, if possible. So we're all saying yes to probably Edge tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll of course break that down on Wednesday, which should be, once again, should be a good show. Do you guys think that WrestleDream is gonna be better than No Mercy? Or do you think No Mercy is gonna be better than WrestleDream, just match for match?
Match for match.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to have to say
like,
WrestleDream.
I don't know.
Not for me.
I don't know.
Because, you know, like, so that's the only difference I would say about the three of us. Like my engagement as far from a storyline perspective into that match goes into how much I enjoy it as well. I can appreciate a good match. Don't get me wrong. But if the match was a 10 because of the work, it might be a 9 for me because I didn't have the storyline investment. That's just so, like, at least with NXT, I wasn't able to follow and watch the show as much as I would like, but I followed enough to where I knew what these characters, where their journeys were with these matches. I knew what the storylines were going into those matches and the investment, what was at stake for those characters. When you talk about WrestleDream, there's not much at stake in a lot of these matches. They're just matches that were put together for this card. So yeah, we might see some great matches, just like we had the last AEW pay-per-view. I don't doubt that. I think that's AEW's calling card. They're gonna they're gonna go out there and they're gonna bust their hump and they're gonna deliver a great in-ring product. It's just that the storyline investment for me probably would take off like a half a point or a point for most of these matches. For me, possibly.
I think totality NXT No Mercy would be the better show. But again, if we're talking about just match for match, I am able to watch a match just for what it is, where the investment of the character, I can turn it off. Again, now it adds to the actual match, but I can turn it off. I think just in history, AEW has had really great matches. Always, even on their weekly episodic shows, they have great matches. So match for match, I think I'm going to be like more blown away by what we see at WrestleDream. But
I got a question for you though, Matt.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you think Kota Ibushi is going to perform in this match tonight?
Oh man,
Negative.
No, I'm not going negative. I'm not going negative because that'd be just me being a hater. I'm going to say he's going to perform tonight in this 6-man. I'm gonna put him at a 6. I'm putting him at a 6.
Okay, that's not bad.
But
it's passing, right? That's passing.
But for Kota, like Kota used to be like, man, every time we see him, he's at a 9 or a 10. But he has been getting better every time we've seen him. He's getting a little bit better. He looks a little bit better. And then he had an interview, I guess this weekend, and he said that he's really looking forward to a dream match. He hopes to have a dream match with somebody that he's never wrestled before, and hopefully we will find out who that is soon.
Edge.
Oh shit, could be Mercedes. Quick hits. Actually, don't have any quick hits today. I'm fresh out of ideas. What y'all got?
I wrote down just 2. First off, Tony. Oh my gosh, she's just so good. Like this version of Tony, it's almost like she doesn't even need a women's championship in AEW because just her presence alone is just so vibrant and it's just so. I'm so excited every time I see her on TV. The beatdown of Jay White on Dynamite. Who is the devil? They kept trying to plug. Could it be MJF? No, and then they said it could have been. Oh shit, who was it? Not Miro. I'm like, first off, Andrade. No, the dude is a slim fit dude. This is not no big muscular guy. So who could be? From preliminary question,
yeah.
We don't know nothing except for the last 2 seconds. Who's the devil?
I don't know.
And That's the beauty of this. We typically don't get this kind of stuff from AEW. The cliffhangers, oh man, I loved it. I absolutely loved it because when I'm watching it, I'm like, this is not what we think it is. It's just not. And then of course, like when you pause and you see how skinny the guy was, you're like, oh, we definitely know it's not MJF. But just watching it, you knew. You end the show with it. I'm like, okay, this isn't it. I saw a lot of things online like, oh, that's Adam Cole and
It looked like Adam Cole.
Roddy and all that, but unless they are doing the best work shoot storyline in history, they're saying Cole he's like scrapped from all creative plans and he's legit going to get surgery on his ankle. So maybe they can still run with that. I don't know why you were running with that for months. I saw somebody else say that was Edge. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, he's too short to be Edge, I think. Edge is like 6. WWE builds him as 6'5", but he thinks
you know what?
6'3".
They can put that. They can swap that person in and out.
Yeah.
They don't have to be.
Yep, exactly.
Like, right? It's really about the mass, right? It's not about the body type. They can be anybody. But hey, what if it's Roddy all along, right? And he pulls off the mask, and it's kind of like the Scooby-Doo villain. Like when they pull off the mask, like the head and stuff is bigger, and like it's like he pulls off the mask, and all of a sudden his neck brace pops out too, and his glasses are on his face, and it's him.
Would you finally be a Roddy guy?
I was say now, if that happened, would you finally enjoy Roddy's work?
No, I'll turn AEW off forever.
I'll be damned.
4 hours of my life back.
I have nothing after that at that point.
But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that follow button on that device you are listening to right now. You know what to do. Leave us a 5-star review. Leave us some comments. All right, we are on socials. You guys know that already. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. YouTube, that's Freakin Wrestling. Instagram and Twitter, or X, that's FNW. We'll be back on Wednesday to absolutely probably break down WrestleDream, talk about what surprises happened on WrestleDream. And Raw actually has a really good lineup this week too, which they should going against Monday Night Football. So we're going to break all that down, plus more. Thank you guys for listening. We will talk to you in a few days. Peace.